a few days ago I made a post on Instagram asking for your guys' help if you would like to see a video of the best Saabs ever made. If you're not following me on Instagram, you can check me out right here. I make a lot of cool posts about Saabs and other stuff that's going on with the channel and other cool car stuff as well. I asked for your guys' favorite Saabs in the comments. I got like 30 or 40 comments, so I just kind of did a top 10 list according to how many mentions each model got. So we're going to go ahead and get started, starting with the most votes, going down to the least, rounding it out at number 10. So first up on the list is the 9.3 Turbo X. Now the Turbo X was only produced for the 2008 model year, and while it's not the most powerful car ever produced by Saab, it is the fastest to 60, hitting the mark in just under 6 seconds with the manual model. It's the overall sportiest model they ever built. So let's go ahead and talk numbers. So Saab built a total of 2,000 Turbo X's, which were all spread around the world. It featured a slightly beefed up version of the Aero's 2.8 liter V6, which boosted power to about 280 horsepower. It came in either an automatic or a manual, which bothered me because I personally feel that a car like this, a car that's limited numbered, it's a sporty model, it should be offered in a manual only, but I guess Saab decided to go with the automatic as well. So the Turbo X also had unique 18 or 19 inch wheels and was only offered in black, and in my opinion it produces one of the best sounding exhausts from a sports sedan. Next up is the new generation Saab 9.5 Aero. The new generation 9.5 is the best looking Saab in my opinion, and had it been released sooner, it might have had a chance to resurrect Saab or at least help them stay alive longer. So the Aero variant of this car came with a turbocharged V6 making 300 horsepower. All-wheel drive was also offered, which helped the appeal of the car as well. And the new generation 9.5 was only in production for 2 years in 2010 and 2011. And this is a very rare car. It's not as rare as the Turbo X, but still a very rare car to see on the road. In total, only about 3,400 new generation 9.5s were produced, of which about 1,000 of them were Aeros. Number 3 on the list, and this is probably a lot of people's favorite Saab, and that is the 9.3 Viggen. So the Viggen name came from Saab's signature fighter jet at the time and literally means thunderbolt in Swedish. The Viggen was produced between 1999 and 2002 and was offered in both a 2- and 4-door hatch. It came with a 2.3 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder out of the 9.5, and it made 230 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. Many Saab enthusiasts consider the Viggen to be the ultimate Saab, and it's hard to disagree. Unlike the Turbo X, this sporty Saab is offered only with a manual, which I love. And these cars are starting to rise in value for good reason. Number 4 on the list is the 900 SPG. The classic 900 is obviously one of the most iconic Saabs, especially from the pre-GM era. The SPG, or the Aero as it was called in Europe, was a beefed up version of the 900. It came with 160 horsepower from its 16-valve Turbo 4, along with a manual transmission. Over the course of its 6-year production, about 7,600 SPGs were imported into the US. And I did a video on a highly modified SPG from the Saab Owners Convention back a couple months ago. And it was really awesome. If you guys haven't seen that video, make sure to go check it out. The wheels on the SPG have to be my favorite Saab wheels of all time, and the shape of the car is nothing short of legendary. Number 5 is the old generation 9.5 Aero. The 9.5 was introduced as a replacement for the 9000 for the 1998 model year. The Aero variant of the 9.5 came with a 2.3 Turbo 4 with 230 horsepower in the earliest years, but power numbers were boosted as time went on. It came with either an automatic or a manual, but of course I'd recommend getting the manual. I think that the 9.5 Aero is one of the best Saabs to modify, and I've seen dozens of them online making 400 to 500 wheel horsepower and torque easily with built internals and a built motor. When built, the 9.5 Aeros are capable of taking down many high-performance cars and supercars. Next up is the 99 Turbo, which according to Jeremy Clarkson put Saab on the map. If you haven't already seen Top Gear's tribute to Saab, I highly suggest you watch it.
The 99 Turbo.
This is a fast car. I mean,
Wait!
and there's a button here that says extra.
Try it.
Ready?
Yep.
Anyways, the 99 began its 18-year production run in 1968, with the Turbo being introduced in 1978. There were nearly a dozen different trim levels throughout its long production run, but the Turbo is generally considered to be the most coveted. It was offered in both a 2- and 4-door as well as a 3-door hatch, which looks similar to the 900. The 99 also competed in World Rallycross for a bit and won 2 events in Sweden in 1977 and 1979. The 99 Turbo featured a 2-liter turbocharged engine producing 143 horsepower, which was pretty good at the time, and 0 to 60 happened in just over 9 seconds. The styling of the 99 Turbo is beautiful, and it's really hard not to love those Turbo unique wheels. Number 7 on the list is the 92X. The 92X is a car I didn't see making this list since it's basically a Subaru, but it appears a lot of Saab enthusiasts really do love it. The 92X was immensely based off the second generation Subaru Impreza with only a few small changes. For instance, the spring and shock rates were slightly retuned, and 1.8 degrees of toe-in was added to help with high-speed stability and turn-in. On the outside, pretty much everything is Saab except for the door panels and rear quarter panels. I personally like the looks of the 92X much more than the Impreza, but of course looks are always subjective. A few minor things were done to the interior as well to make the car a bit more luxurious, but the car is pretty much like 95% the Subaru Impreza. The 92X was produced for only 2005 and 2006, and there were just under 10,000 total being made. It came in either a linear or aero trim, which of course I would recommend getting the aero if you're looking at one of these. And the aero had 230 horsepower and did 0 to 60 in around 6 seconds. Number 8 on the list is the Saab 94X. The 94X is a true unicorn. It's rarer than most supercars that are made today, but 99% of people wouldn't even bat an eye if they saw it driving down the street, which is part of the reason why I love it and I think it's so unique. There are around 600 94Xs made in 2011, and it shares a platform with a lot of other GM crossovers, for example, the Cadillac SRX. It came with a 3-liter V6 or 2.8-liter V6 turbo in the aero trim, which produced about 300 horsepower. And the 94X is one of the most valuable Saabs today since there were so few of them and they're still relatively new. And when I was at the Saab Owners Convention, there were 3 of them there, which was pretty amazing. And seeing them just all parked next to each other, you know, it's not something that you're ever going to see anywhere else except at an event like this. And it was just super cool. And I'd love to review one of them someday for you guys. Number 9 on the list is the 9.3 Aero. Now, I don't want to mistake this with the Viggen because in Europe and I think other places the Viggen was referred to as the Aero, but in America I'm talking about the newer 9.3 Aero, so with the new chassis such as my 9.3. So the Saab 9.3 Aero was introduced in 2003 with the new 9.3 being released, but I'm going to skip over the first 3 years of the production since they featured the same 4-cylinder as the Arc. However, in 2006, Saab did beef up the Aero and gave 2.8-liter V6 that produced 250 horsepower. In 2008, power was boosted to 280 horsepower along with the Aero and all 9.3s receiving a major facelift that made the car still look modern nearly 10 years later. The Aero and other 9.3s were often most commonly in a 4-door sedan, but also a 5-door hatch or Sport Combi were offered. It had a few exterior differences from the normal 9.3, such as the dual exhaust, the aggressive front lip, 17-inch 5-spoke wheels, and a subtle yet aggressive lip spoiler. Other changes besides the ones I already mentioned were different from the normal 9.3, but I don't really want to go into too much detail about that. And today the 9.3 offers a great performance and comfort bargain on the used market, as you can find these for very, very cheap. Number 10 on the list is the new generation 9.5 Sport Combi. And not a lot of people even know that this car exists, and I absolutely love these cars. So I have to include it just because of how truly beautiful it is. I mean, just look at it. It's absolutely stunning. And this car, had it made it to production and to the streets more easily, I think it could have drawn more consumers towards Saab. In total, there were only 35 9.5 Sport Combis made. 35. This is a car that you'll probably never see on the road for obvious reasons. And the 27 of the 35 remaining Sport Combis were auctioned off a few years ago and were never sold at dealerships. One individual has been trying to sell his, and he is asking a whopping $70,000 for it. I personally don't think that he'll get that much for it, but it's truly a special car. And one team actually converted an NG95 sedan into a sport combi, and it looks strikingly similar to the standard sport combi. I won't bother going over the technical details of the sport combi since they're the same as the NG95 that I mentioned earlier in this list. So that's going to wrap up this video, guys. Let me know if there's any Saabs that you really love that weren't mentioned in this video, because of course there's more than 10. I want to give credit where credit is due to all the videos that were used throughout this list, so all the links to the videos that were featured will be listed in the description. If you guys did like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Let's try and get to 200 likes. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all next video.